Greetings YouTube, Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Today we're looking at a game called Space Invaders by DigitalGamez. DigitalGamez is a small startup comprised of parents of young children, and they are trying to create some family-friendly games with a co-op focus. I haven't seen many of these games, and I definitely can't think of any games on Steam which are family friendly and also co-op, so they are hitting a bit of a niche market. I wanted to have a bit of a try of this game because it does feel like something new and something that could become very popular. Now, this game is only 50% complete. It's a very early demo of the game, but it is available to everybody, so I will leave a link to the game in the description, and I do recommend that you try it. We're going to start the game now, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about how the game works. And here we are in the game. The first player controls the ship itself by moving left to right with the keyboard, and the second player controls the turret of the ship with the mouse. Now, this wouldn't be a proper first impression video of a game designed for younger players unless I had a younger player with me. So today I've got my special buddy Mr. Bobbles, who's controlling the turret of the ship, as you can see, and doing a pretty good job. Now, this game has some very simplistic gameplay. It's a game in the vein of Galaga or Raiden, if you played one of those games, and it definitely has a lot of nostalgia value for players like me. But at the moment, it does need a little bit of polish. There are some things that I did pick up during my play of the game. And the first one is the sound. Now, the music and the sound effects aren't normalized at the moment. I've actually turned the music off to let you hear some of the sound effects of the game. And I think that this is a common problem with most developers. They don't normalize the sound of the game. And it's something, it is pretty hard to do. As experienced with video editing as I am, I do know that sound normalization and quality isn't the easiest thing to accomplish. But it's something that a lot of indie games seem to struggle with, and unfortunately this game is one of them. It's definitely nowhere near the worst game that I've seen with sound quality though. Absolutely not. But the other thing is the control of the game. Now, the ship control is actually quite tight, but the turret is pretty insensitive. You do have to have the mouse moving pretty hard to move the turret left and right, and it's not very sensitive at all. So we do need to increase the sensitivity of the turret. The controls for the ship itself aren't too bad, but the firing control is probably one of the other gripes I have. You don't actually fire the gun or the turret. The main gun on the ship just fires every few seconds, and the turret does the same thing. Now, this results in a lot of wasted shots, but again, it comes down to a little bit of skill. But I think that you do need to have a firing control, at least for the turret, so the second player can aim their shots a bit better. The other problem is the variety in the game. I think it's lacking a little bit of variety at the moment. The backgrounds and the enemy ships as well are a little bit repetitive, and the enemy ships are they also do have some pretty repetitive flight patterns. But again, this is probably more due to the fact that the game is in early access and it's only 50% complete. So, but it's still something that was pretty noticeable when I was playing. Now, the other thing too is the actual gameplay. I would have liked to see some power-ups in the game, alternate weapons, shields, speed boosts, a lot of that sort of things that you see in other top-down games of old. Again, this is something that'll probably be added later on. I do hope that the developer does add this because I think it would really add a lot more fun and variety to the game. But what's really important is that the game is fun. It's got some nice controls apart from the small issues that I've mentioned, and it does encourage cooperative play. Probably the only small gripe that I did have as well is that there isn't a score counter for the game. I would love to see a first player and second player score counter. it would encourage a little bit of competitiveness, but you could even have a combined score. I think that a score counter would be really good so that you can measure your progress through the game, even if it is the combined score of both players. But at the moment, there isn't a score counter, so yeah, I think it's something that is present in all of the top-down shooters, and it does add a little bit of replay value to try and beat your old score. Now, apart from these gripes, you might think that I actually don't like this game, but it's actually quite the opposite. I think it's actually got a lot of promise, but it needs polish. This game does need a lot of polish, but it is only 50% complete again, so I do have to give the developer a little bit of credit for what he has achieved so far. I think that this game has the potential to be a really good game on Steam if it's released for a reasonable price and if the developer puts a little bit more polish into the game before completion. I would love to see some more levels. There are only 4 levels in the game at present, but the developer is working on more. So that was it for the moment. This game has been a bit of fun to play. I've enjoyed it. I'm sure my little buddy has as well. And we're going to try and see if we can get to the end of the 4 levels. I haven't managed to make it right to the end yet. So hopefully we will see a little bit more variety in the levels as the game progresses. And hopefully a little bit of some of the suggestions I've made will be taken on board. And the improvements made to polish this game up a little bit more than where it's at the moment. So try this game out. This is the last thing I was going to say. Give this game a go. Support the developers, especially if you've got young kids or a family. Try this game out. It's great fun co-op, and it's a good excuse to get your kids involved in a really nice, family-friendly, fun, non-violent game. So if you enjoyed this episode, as always, please subscribe, leave me a comment, try the game out. I'll leave the link in the description, and we'll see you for the next episode. I will do a review on this game as it nears completion. Until next time, Skill Incarnate out.